I worked at the Apple Store for 9 years, and it's basically just nonstop talking to people like forever. I mean, even 1 year of working at the Apple Store, you'll meet more people than the average person will meet in their entire life. Because of this, I picked up a bunch of different conversational phrases that basically just make you sound cooler or smarter or more approachable or whatever, and I'm just gonna share them with you now. Instead of saying, I know, say, that's true or you're right. It accomplishes the same thing, but when you say I know all the time, it just kind of makes you sound like a douchebag. This is just kind of a running theme you're gonna see. Instead of saying you guys, just say folks or y'all, makes you sound cooler and smarter. Instead of saying you should, say if I were you, I would, or just I would. In general, when you're giving advice, it's good to open up with something like personally, blah, blah, blah. It just sounds more humble and authentic. Try to avoid saying things like you look good. Really, the only one would be you look like a badass. That's a universal compliment. Old ladies love that. Instead of saying you look, if you can, try and compliment the specific piece. So instead of saying those shoes make you look great, say I like those shoes. In general, compliment people's shoes a lot. People fucking love getting compliments about their shoes. It's best to be as direct as possible. If you're someone like me that's the quote unquote, straight shooter type, one thing you probably want to do, take a pause and or say something before you get into the straight shooting stuff. Especially if you're going to say something like personal. Instead of saying like, look, I like you, but I want to hang out with my friends. Sorry. Just like take a pause. Say, look. General, even if it's disingenuous, make it look like you're in pain to give people the bad news. Like, I'm really sorry to tell you this. It can be totally disingenuous and somehow it's still better than just not saying that. These next few ones are huge and it's a big part of the reason why I buried them at the end because I'm like kind of scared to give them away to the world. If you don't know what to talk about, don't talk about the weather, talk about food. Food is small talk 2.0. It's the same thing, but people love it. If you spend 15 minutes just talking about the weather, people are going to think you're aloof and they're not going to like you. You're just going to have a bad taste. But if you spend 15 minutes talking about food, people will love you, especially if you leave a recommendation for a restaurant or how to cook something. And if you made it this far, then I'm going to give you the grand prize. This is one that I really don't like sharing because once the bottle's open, I don't know. I feel like it's going to be weird. The two most manipulative words you can possibly say in the English language are I agree. Just say I agree all the time, even if you don't agree. You will be amazed at how differently things go. People can be like, I think Donald Trump's the greatest president to ever exist. You can be like, I agree, but maybe Abraham Lincoln's better. And they'll be like, yeah, that's true. If you say I agree, but you don't agree, and then you make a counter argument, people will listen.